and welcome. I'm Caroline Ryder of Horsemanship. I'm here to present Holistic Horses Ask the Expert monthly video. And this is a continuation or a sequel, part 2 of Zor and his spooky nature. So the first video I did of him a year ago was how to train a spooky and unpredictable horse. And sorry it's taken me this long to produce part 2, and there may be several other sequels to this, but we've been pretty busy. And just to give you an update or history of where we've been in the last year, I definitely have been working with him, but it hasn't been very consistent due to the nature of my business. And so he's had a couple of weeks here, a couple of months there, then he's had off for a few months, and then he's been worked with again. He's become a very good trail horse. I do not want a meeting right now. However, I've been pushing his buttons recently, meaning I've been asking him to come up in movement, whether it's a trot or a canter out in the open field, and he does great out in the open field, but when you produce that level of adrenaline for a horse that's not completely in control of his emotions, and this is what I call emotional agility, when you produce that type of adrenaline out in a beautiful open field and then you bring him into a wooded area or into an environment that he's not quite confident, he gets triggered very easily. And so a lot of the work that I've been doing to prepare him for trail riding safely has been on the ground, as well as riding dressage patterns. So I've been very specific with the work under saddle, and that work asks him to pay attention to my aids, as well as a lot of work on the ground. So what I'm going to start with is the groundwork. And I also am going to have a student of mine in the background behind this wooded area that the camera will pan in eventually. You don't need to do it right now, but she'll be back there making a lot of noise so he can't see anything. And you know, yesterday we did this and he jumped 20 feet and bolted with, you know, the rope here, with the lead rope. And he came right back. He didn't pull out of my hands. He wasn't that crazy, but that's a hard thing to sit. What you're going to see when I do get on him is I'm going to wear a helmet, and I also have my dressage saddle for him. I don't have stirrups because I don't want my feet to get caught in the stirrup right now, even though the stirrups have an emergency lever which allows them supposedly to pull out should I get my foot stuck. But these are the things I'm thinking of as a trainer. You know, I don't want to get in that position, and I don't need stirrups. You know, I want a long leg that pulls my seat down into the saddle. The dressage saddle, more than my Western saddle, really hugs your leg and your seat and keeps you in place. And he's hard to sit. So the bigger the horse and or the smaller the horse, the harder it's going to be able to sit when they spin, drop a shoulder, and bolt, because you either have too much horse underneath of you and you can't get enough to grip, or you have a small horse that doesn't have enough horse. And so he's a tough one to sit. I've fallen off of him, and it was not fun. So we're going to work on the continuation. Of course, he's going to be a lot more confident, as you can tell already. But what I want you to pay attention to is in the first video, I really was on his case because he was so nutso. Meaning I brought him into this corner over here where we're going to go. And in the first video, I couldn't even get his attention. He was so worried about the woods. And so you saw me really move him with the whip back and forth to get his attention. Now watch Zor's ears. So anytime the horse's ears are not relaxed or on you, obviously they're not paying attention to you and they're not comfortable. So the number one feature I want to bring to your attention, because one of my specialties isn't just starting horses, colt starting or starting horses, it's also rehabilitation, retraining, and working with problem or challenging horses. So I really want you to pay attention to reading your horse. That's not a good sign. Now, a relaxed horse is going to look at their surroundings, have relaxation in their body, and then come right back to you, and or stand here relaxed. So I'm going to crack that whip. That's a good sign. That's one of the things I will do to get information or feedback. A year ago, he would have jumped on top of me, and I would have known that, so I might not have cracked the whip. I don't think I did a year ago, or I would have had him further out. But what the crack of that whip does now, because of the training that he's had, is it says refocus on me. Wake up, tune back into me, and refocus. So it's an aid right now. It's not to punish him or correct him. You can't correct a horse. You can't teach a horse or correct a horse if they're unconfident and they're on flight mode. You can only train a horse when their mind is open and relaxed. So everything I was doing in the first video was to at least try to get him focused on me. You know, I want to develop trust. I want to develop or maintain the love, the relationship. And I also want to develop higher and stronger leadership. So he knows that that means you better refocus on me. So how did I get to this point where he didn't react to that and go into flight mode and jump on top of me? Watch the first video. It took a while. It took months with this horse. So he's 6 years old. He has some minimal training before I purchased him. But look how relaxed his eye is. That's what you want. That's called endorphin. And so for all of you that think you can master this through riding, please save yourself an accident. Because all the bending and flexion I've taught this horse in the last year through our dressage work, and all the suppling I've taught him, when he is fearful and worried and goes into that flight mode, I can't bend this horse. And yes, he's super big and super strong, and I'm super strong. But I'm just giving you fair warning for those of you that think, even on a smaller horse, if you don't have the upper body strength or the timing or the training in that horse to bend them and supple them, forget it. Don't ride right now. I'm showing you how you can achieve this mindset through groundwork, which is 75% of the solution. It's a lot safer. And then you're going to work through riding patterns to further develop safety and confidence, trust, and leadership with this horse. So this is by far much better than what we had a year ago. Believe me, it's going to get heightened, and I am purposely going to heighten this situation, and that's the next step I want to tell you about. So first, we're going to do groundwork when you have a horse like this. That's this, I mean, look at his video a year ago when you see a horse that was this spooky, unfocused, didn't trust, all over the place, couldn't focus, all over the place. So one, that's a lack of trust, a lack of obedience, and a lack of leadership from you. And leadership is clarity for me. It's not about pushing this horse around or instilling fear and dominance. It's about being clear and having a lot of patience and a lot of consistency. And I talk a lot about this in some of my other training videos. So getting back to the first step in helping to build confidence and safety with a really spooky, unpredictable horse, you want to work through ground work. You want to work on the ground. The second part of this is you're going to want to, when you feel safe enough, and it might take weeks or months with this horse, meaning you have most of his focus most of the time. On the ground, you're going to want to recreate an opportunity that's going to scare him. Again, you're going to want to recreate or create an opportunity to scare him so that you two can work through it. One, this develops confidence in you because you're going to learn how to problem solve and you're going to learn how to handle this horse. And again, don't even create this opportunity to trigger him and scare him if you haven't already worked through certain ground exercises that I've explained and demonstrated in my other videos. You better have control over this horse, physically and somewhat emotionally. You better have control over his shoulder. He better respect your space. He better be able to focus on you. And then you're going to recreate the opportunity to trigger him. So why? Because you want to develop the horse's left brain. So when a horse is triggered into flight mode and goes crazy, they become very unpredictable, they're in their right brain. They're acting as a prey animal. That's what they're hardwired to do. Fight, flight, or freeze when they are faced with danger or presented with a threat. The beauty of natural horsemanship, and I call myself more of an intuitive horsewoman, The beauty, because of the energy that I present in the work and develop in the work, the beauty of natural horsemanship, the number one reason why it was developed so many years ago, is to engage the left brain, the cognitive side of the horse, so the horse begins to think and problem solve, as well as instill trust and respect and leadership and partnership. So I want to recreate, which we will in a little bit, I want to recreate the opportunity for him to be scared, spooked, and then if he does spook, we're going to work through that into some thinking games, some thinking exercises. And I'll show you what they are. So right now the camera's going to follow us as we just work through the area that we had worked through a year ago, just to show you where he is. And see how I keep him away from me? I keep him out there. Now I'm going to ask him to turn around and face me and put his butt away from me. Good boy. Now watch his eyes and ears. Do I have both eyes? No, I don't. I have one eye. Again, read your horse. That's a bad sign, because one eye is looking for danger. So that just tells you you have half of your horse trusting you right now. So what I do, I crack that whip. And now I have two eyes. So you can tell that Zor sees some movement over in the woods, and that's good because I've asked one of my students to make a lot of noise behind the trees where he can't see. He'll kind of see an image and he'll hear her making a lot of noise with the whip, cracking on the branches and the leaves, but he won't be able to really discern what it is. And this could be any of us out on a trail. And so I'm recreating the opportunity for him to get triggered, to get scared, to see where he is, to get the feedback that I need to go, wow, he handled that great. He did a spook in place and he came right back and focused on me. That's wonderful. Or is he going to bolt like he did yesterday and jump 30 feet and take me with him? So right now he's a lot more relaxed than he was a year ago when we videotaped this, by far, and more focused. But as I work him towards that woods over there, I want you to really pay attention to his eye and his ears. This is not a very relaxed horse right now. It's more of a pensive horse, just in the expression of his eye and the fact that his ears are very tuned into the woods. A horse that's going to not care about the woods is going to remain very relaxed in their eye and in their movement, and they're going to stay focused on you with both eyes, and their ears are either going to be relaxed by their side or paying attention to you, focused on you. Just like when you trail ride, I don't want my horse, when I see his ears focusing in on something ahead of us, so does his body. And the minute his ears focus, he gets worried. Now, one of my more seasoned, finished horses, schoolmasters, sure, they might focus on something, but they don't get worried about it. And the minute I talk to them, whether with my voice or with one of my aids, they come right back to me immediately. He doesn't. And so one of the things I want you to pay attention to, this groundwork is a much safer way to work with a horse, trust me. But you must instill respect, he's worried about something right now, for your space. So I don't want him on top of me right now. And he's learned that if something scares him, he better run on either side of me, not run me down when we're on the ground. So one of the things we're going to talk about too are thresholds, and you guys learning to become much better observers of your horse. Crack that whip and refocus him. And then how do you read your horse? And what are thresholds? So when I'm riding him out on a trail ride and he starts to get tight and bigger and taller underneath of me, and of course the ears are focused forward, I stop immediately. Now I may do many other things. I may bend him. Even if I bend him, if he decides to bolt, I cannot stop this horse. That's why we're working on the ground. Ground is 75% of the solution at least right now. And it's so much safer. But I know that when he gets that big and that tight, I have to stop. He's saturated. He's oversaturated or saturated. And if I keep pushing him, that is not the time to push him. If I keep pushing him, he's gonna blow. And he's a very dangerous horse. You cannot stop this horse. I already got hurt the other month. And the reason why I got hurt is, yes, we've been working on his confidence and his safety and his courage, his bravery. But I've also been pushing him a little bit, pushing his environment, creating the opportunity for him to get triggered. And he did. And he took off, and I fell, and I hit really hard. So that's why I have the saddle on with no stirrups, because it's going to keep me in place, at least to the best of my ability, and I will be putting a helmet on when I go to get on him. So right now we're just going to watch how he responds or reacts to his environment through this wooded area. Watch his ears and his eyes. And I'm going to keep asking him to focus on me, and I'm going to keep doing the same exercise I did in the first video, and that is to send him out, move that shoulder around, ask him to stop, stay engaged, but look at his eye. He can't give me both eyes, can he? He can only give me one eye, because the other eye is too worried about what's behind him. You got to pay attention to that. So I'm going to back him up. Good boy. And I got to get a little bigger and a little louder with him, because he's stuck right now. He's frozen. And he's frozen, meaning it's hard. The camera can come. It's hard for him to move. And he's also not focusing on me. He's too busy trying to figure out what's going to get him. So work him through that, people. You got to work these guys through it. Come on. Get him working. Get him out. Get him moving. Make sure that he's not going to run you down. He's got a little bit of a lower lip that's pursed. His lower lip is a little pursed. If the camera wants to zoom in, I talk about this in the first video. There's a good lick and chew. So you get a little bit of a tight lip. That's stress. We're going to move him out, and ask him to stop. So for a horse like Zor, the more stimuli he has, the more activity he has, whether it's actual movement or noise, or the activity or stimuli it's not really activity, it could just be stimuli, meaning he's got more things to think about and worry about. So he's overstimulated with both activity and his environment. So I'm going to keep him moving to keep him engaged. Try to keep his left brain active, thinking side. Good. And I'm going to keep asking him to go stand next to the woods and see if I can create a comfortable, safe place over by the woods. Meaning if he's really worried about the woods like he was last year, he didn't want to stand there. And I have so many horses that come to me to be restarted, especially as safe trail riding partners, and the woods is very scary for them. So they don't want anything to do with it. So that's your feedback. That's your information right there. And that tells you how comfortable or not, or how safe or not they feel. So Zor's the type of horse that I'm not even 100% confident standing right here next to him, because I know the propensity of him running me down. So for those of you that aren't sure, don't stand in a position where the horse is going to jump sideways. And don't stand in front of your horse. And or if you are going to stand in front of your horse, make sure that your horse can lead well, meaning they respect your space. So now we have the person over by the woods who's moving and making a lot of noise, and he wants to pay attention to that. So again, what am I going to do? Back him up, come on, and get him moving. Specifically moving that shoulder. Good, we got to lick and chew. Come on. So watch his eyes and his ears. He started to breathe heavy. And his lower lip. I'm going to keep asking him out. Yep. Go on. Yep. Good. Good boy. Good boy. Good. He's breathing heavy. Good. And see how he just dropped his shoulder to get closer to me and to avoid the woods? So we're going to keep working him through this. Look how tight his lower lip is. We're going to send him this way. So sending him back and forth from right to left is a thinking exercise, because anytime the horse moves their feet back and forth like that in their shoulder, they've got to think about their feet. And I'm specifically asking him to go into a trot, not a walk, because I want to stimulate his adrenaline so he can start to learn how to navigate and manage adrenaline. And you just heard him blow. Excellent. Thanks, Paula. Keep doing it. That's excellent. Yep. So this is huge trust builder for him. He's got to pay attention to me and trust that I'm not going to put him in a dangerous situation. It's also great leadership for you to develop, because he's got to pay attention to me. I don't want him focusing on that at all. This is not about him focusing on that scary object. Not right now. I will encourage him to stand here and focus on it when he isn't snorting, breathing heavy, being resistant, and a bit flighty. I'm going to crack that whip to refocus him. Good. He licked and chewed again. I'm going to keep doing this until he gets more relaxed, less resistant, pulling me. Come on, work through it. Good boy. Good. Come on, the more he pulls on me, he's going to get his butt bit. Good. Back it up, son. Good boy. Good boy. Good. There's another lick and chew. Good. Good boy. Now trust me, I know that he is more comfortable with me on the ground than when I'm on his back, meaning he is more confident with me on the ground than when I'm on him. Most horses are. Good boy. So this is a nice sign that he wants to come in softly, and he's very focused. He's looking for reassurance right now. He's really looking for reassurance. And that's excellent, because his whole focus is on me and he's very relaxed. So that's the only time I'm going to let him in. I don't want him coming in when he's up, because I might get run down or run over. So that's excellent. Now, you might ask, at what point will I ask the person to stop and or let him acknowledge what's over there? When I have all of this, when he gets more relaxed and he's obviously more focused. So Paula, will you come up towards the house where the woods is more open and Zora and I can see you? Thank you. So I'm going to back him up. And I just asked Paula to come up over here so that when he'll see her in just a little bit, coming right up. So there he's going to focus in on her. So why didn't I want him to focus in on her right away? Because in my experience, when you allow a horse to focus on what they are so what they are so scared of at that moment, it can heighten. I've had this happen. It can heighten to the point where the horse is going to just blow and go right into fight or flight. So I want to be in a position where I have more control over his mind and his body. So when he's not sure about something and wants to focus on it, I'm going to refocus him on me. And I'm not going to allow him to focus on the object or the environment that he's not sure about until what? He's relaxed, he's responsive, and rhythmic. So I talk a lot about the 3 R's in training, and I'm always looking for how responsive my horse is, number 1, how relaxed they become, which develops rhythm. And so it worked out great. He gave me the 3 R's, and then he was able to look at Paula and realize that Paula is not scary. He was in his thinking brain. So this is called repatterning. And it's also producing endorphin, dopamine, instead of adrenaline. I don't want him focusing on the scary thing when he's on adrenaline. It's not going to get better. He's not thinking. It's only going to escalate. In my experience, it always has. I want him to be able to focus on the scary thing when he's thinking, when there's more curiosity, not when he's frozen with fear. So these are the areas I'd like to get you guys to pay more attention to so that we can prevent accidents. And, you know, again, what are we looking for and what are we working on when we're on the ground? I'm trying to be very specific with exercises. 1 is the backing up, 2 is the leading, and 3 is the sending. Whether your back is against the fence or the wood line and you're sending your horse right and left, or you're sending your horse out into a lunge pattern. One of the things I don't recommend is that you lunge that horse, you just run that horse. Please don't do that, because all you do is 1, build cardio, and 2, you actually escalate the horse. The horse ends up becoming an adrenaline junkie. And I don't want him to escalate and feed off of that adrenaline. I want to teach him how to manage his emotions, to start engaging his left cognitive side, thinking side of the brain. And 3rd, release endorphin, the calming hormone, not adrenaline, which is about fight or flight. So I really like this. This is better than yesterday. Because yesterday we were here and Mia, my assistant trainer, was over there working another horse in the shade, and she cracked the whip and he bolted. He flew right out there. Yep. So I'm hoping that I'm giving you enough information as far as what to look at when you're reading your horse. How relaxed. Now Zor looks pretty relaxed to me. His movement's relaxed, his head is low. He's got an eye on me. He's got his ears on the background. That's okay. It's progress, isn't it? And I feel safe enough to allow him right in my space because of how relaxed he is. Now, we've been working all around my house, which is on the other side of that woods, because it's very claustrophobic. There's lots of things between the AC units to the trash cans. There's a ton of stuff between the cars, lots of, like I said, environmental stimuli. And environmental stimuli doesn't mean action. It means there's a lot to look at, a lot of things that overstimulate his curious mind. The good thing about Zor is he's very transparent. So a spooky horse is actually a horse that's transparent and is telling you what they're afraid of. You have a better opportunity for safety with that type of a horse than you do a horse that just freezes and shuts down and then out of the blue blows. We've all experienced those horses too. So I'd rather have a horse that goes, oh my God, I gotta stop. What the heck is that? Because he shows me, tells me he's hit a threshold. He's saturated or oversaturated. And I will stop, whether on the ground or riding. I will stop. And then I will see if he can refocus on me by asking him what? Either crack the whip, back up, or if I can just move his shoulder over and ask him to stop. And how does he move? Does he move real quick and darty and inconsistent and tight, or does he move with relaxation? And this is relaxation, because look how low his head is. So these are the signs that tell me I'm ready to get on him. Now, I know him, and like I said, there's a lot of horses that the minute you get on, they lose a lot of that confidence. Why? Because you're in front. They are following you. When you get on that horse, they are in front. There's no one to follow, except the other horses. But with a horse like Zor, sure, we do pretty well out in a group trail ride. But I also need to get him to a point where I can ride him out by ourselves. And that's still going to take some time because he loses a lot of confidence when a rider gets on. And this would be the type of horse that would not want to be first on the trail. Now, he has become the horse that is fine being first in a group. But in the beginning, he wasn't. There was no way he'd be in front. So those are other ways to read your horse. If he's not safe enough to ride out in front of the herd, then I certainly wouldn't start riding him out by myself. So I'm going to go ahead and change out his halter for the Boselle and put my helmet on. So you really have to make sure that you can handle this, or that you send your horse to somebody that can. Good boy. Again, it's not about that. Let's go up here and see if we can't meander our way back down along the woods. Another tip, if you can, if ever you sense something that's going to startle, you know that something's going to happen that's going to startle your horse, always point them in that direction of the startle or the spook. Have them facing it. Never have their rear end to it, because obviously if it comes up behind them and scares them, they are naturally going to go into flight and bolt forward. So I always try to at least get them to face it, and then at that moment, do I need to get down? Do I need to get down? Or can I bend this horse? And even if he's spinning, can I get down? Do I feel like I have to get down? But you want to be able to face them. So I don't want him looking at the tree. I want him to be able to go straight, because we weren't able to do this earlier. And now he's breathing heavy and he's tight because he's trying to figure out where that horse is. He's anticipating the scare right now. He's anticipating it. He's not even focused on the tree. He was focused on where the horse is. So show him where the horse is. And Zor is very buddy sour. Another reason why I haven't taken him out on the trail by myself. We work together, my assistant trainer and I, when we ride. And when we've been going out on the trail, I'll work him in the big open fields, and she will work the other horse, and we'll work away from each other. And we started gradually doing that, and that is also another technique. You start to separate them, but they might only be 20 or 30 feet apart, and you start working them, same kind of patterns. And I'm successfully able to canter Zor, do a walk, trot, canter, supple him in that open field while she's working the other horse, and or other riders are riding around. So I'm able to have that kind of control on him. Again, his biggest fear is this type of environment with all these trees. It's too much for him to focus on. Too much stimulation. This is a very smart horse with a very active mind. Again, spooky horses are very sensitive horses. They're thinkers. Believe it or not, they're thinkers. They have the best potential. So I keep using my leg. Good boy. And now we're even closer. So I'm using a lot of aids on him. Good. Don't take this for granted. I'm hanging on. He may be more relaxed, but what if Ollie, who he can't see, zips through there? We're screwed. By the grace of God, it would be nice if I could say I could bend him, but I don't believe I could. How will I know that we're ready for that? By working here, being able, when this doesn't become an issue, when this goes away, when I can trot and canter him here, and or I can walk him, and I can say to one of my students, now with a horse, go up and down there and run your horse. Oh, we're not ready for that. But do you see how I'm preparing both of us for those opportunities to learn and work through this? Good. So he's still breathing heavy, but he's got more curiosity and relaxation now. So curiosity is the opposite of fear. When a horse is stuck and paralyzed and frozen, they're very afraid. They're thinking. In an instant, it can all change. They're ready to go into fight or flight. Mostly flight. Good boys. That's enough. I'm going to see if I can keep him engaged. Good. With my aids. Good boy. And keep him soft. Good. So this is going to be slow and steady progress for us. And I'm very happy with today. I don't want to have an accident. Today would not be the day to just have someone run Ollie around over there, because it would blow Zor's mind and it would make it 10 times harder to get back to this type of relaxation and focus. So we're going to build up, meaning we're going to keep coming out here every day we work together, and I'm not going to introduce any more stimuli when I'm on him riding until I can work successfully in this area at a trot and keep him soft and supple and relaxed. Why at the trot? Because the trot naturally stimulates the horse's adrenaline. And again, this is all about emotional agility. He's fixated on the cars. He has a huge issue by the house with all the cars and all the stuff up there. And that's another area I will continue to work him on the other side. So thank you very much. Please feel free to write in with comments or questions. and look forward to us presenting more sequels to this as we keep getting better and better. I definitely think maybe we'll have another video for next month. Thank you, and may you always be one with your horse.